Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next The Promised Neverland manga review. This one's going to be for volume 6 of the manga, which is called B06-32. And yeah, we're going to be continuing on, obviously, the kind of series that I sort of started last week, and that is catching up to The Promised Neverland by reading the manga. So, volume 6 this week, did volume 5 last week, and we'll continue on at this pace. So, yeah, the big thing about this, the first, I suppose, full volume I'm reviewing here, is that it definitely feels it's very focused on, I think, properly revealing stuff about the world outside of the farms. And there's one chapter specifically when they finally get to it that is just a very kind of eye-opening one. It's big world building stuff, and in that sense, you know, this volume really does accomplish a lot with the reveal about who the character was from the kind of cliffhanger ending of the last volume and what they do with all of that. I think they bring it to a really nice conclusion overall, and it feels very like volume 6 kind of just by itself tells a very good part of the story, in my opinion. So let's get down to, I suppose, going through it chapter by chapter. First, we'll list off what chapters we're covering here. So we get chapter 44, The Girl in the Hood, chapter 45, The Rescue, chapter 46, Sanju and Mujika, 47, An Old Tale, 48, The Two Worlds, chapter 49, Teach Me, 50 is Friends, and in chapter 51 and chapter 52 are B06-32 part 1 and the same part 2. So, the main thing that happens at the very start of this is that we get just a quick recap on what's going on here. Emma's kind of unconscious, and I suppose Gilda and Dawn, as the kind of leaders basically of this group, are sort of left with the decision of, do they trust this girl who's kind of just arrived out of nowhere and go with her? She's offering them safety, but who or what is she? Then we catch up with what Ray is doing, and obviously he's being pursued by this demon guy, Hunter, and his kind of demon beasts as well. And he's doing well at evading them. He's coming up with all these tactics, but he realizes he's going to be outplayed here because he's going to run out of stamina. And they, I think, pretty quickly, and I think importantly, bring both the stories back together. It is not a case of like we're going to be going ages with Ray separated from the rest of the group. What we get here is basically another mysterious character swooping in to save Ray. This time someone on a kind of demon horse-like kind of beast comes in and saves Ray just before he's about to get taken out. And from there, it's basically just, you know, them escaping, Ray wondering who has just kind of saved him. And I think it takes a little bit to properly get going. A lot of it's just introductory stuff. But once we finally get to the point of, I suppose, the reunion here, it starts just this like sequence of reveals that I think is really, really well done. So immediately we get Ray kind of waking up. He sees Emma's unconscious, and she seems to be just on her own. But very quickly they kind of realize that, okay, you know, we were rescued from different locations. We're sort of safe here. Is it Mr. Minerva or what? And that's when they, I suppose, meet up with first the girl in the hood, who was, you know, obviously the one who was dealing with Gilda on that side of the story. Kind of, again, just connecting both sides of things, that the guy and the girl in the hoods are both kind of together in all of this. And immediately you get this sort of enthusiasm from this girl in the hood. She's happy that Emma's awake. You know, clearly she's treated her very, very well in all of this. They want to be taken to where all of their, you know, the rest of the kids are. And this is where we sort of start to get the idea of, like, you know, they're suspicious. They're beginning to become a little bit suspicious. They haven't fully figured it out. And Ray quickly figures it out. He just comes out with the question, why did demons save us, humans, your food? Tell us why, demons, as the other guy arrives in. And yeah, like it doesn't take too long for the reveal to actually come out. once this happens and the guy walks in with the spear, there's a little bit of a freak out. They feel everything suddenly that seemed fairly safe has kind of gone all wrong. But as Emma storms past them, she is met with all of the kids. Everyone is safe. Everyone's happy. And we get the reveal that the people who saved them are actually two demons. Mujika and Sanju. Mujika is the girl and Sanju is the guy. And here is the kind of, I suppose, unmasking of both of them in a way. So, they're definitely, they're still demons, but their designs are not as sort of monstrous as a lot of the other ones are. And we sort of get an explanation for that as we kind of go on. And I suppose, by actually getting to talk to a demon character, get that different perspective on the world, get explanations for just, here is why some of the things are the way they are with demons, because it is a whole other species, basically, that we're talking about. And, everyone else seems fairly happy. The first hint about something being very different about them is that when they all sit down to eat, they both pray and kind of thank the gods for basically, gifting them this meal in a way. So there's this religious element that begins to come in here with them. And Ray and Emma immediately go to talk to them about all of this. Obviously, as the sort of leaders of the group, they go to kind of talk about all of this. And the first, I suppose, proper explanation of stuff is the explanation here. Don't worry about it. You were right to be cautious. Human flesh is special to demons, especially the brain. There are only a few like us. Most demons would start drooling and take a bite if they saw a human. So it's better to think of all of them as your enemy. So, there's a very understanding attitude to this, kind of explaining that, as we get later on here, they don't eat humans because of their faith, their religion. But they will eat anything other than human flesh. And what's very interesting about it is that you very quickly, accept these two as being extremely friendly, kind of sympathetic towards them. And they do a very interesting twist, right towards the end of the volume when they say goodbye to these two, with, I suppose, mainly on Sanju's side of just why he specifically doesn't do it and what he wants. But we'll get to that in a minute. I think it's just interesting to kind of look at the way he is now and him as the one explaining this, when he is the one who, as we get later on, still wants to eat humans, just not in the way that it currently is in sort of demon society. So he says that we are what you call heretics of this society. Them, the farm, their ideology, profit, authority, everything, all of it is none of our concern. We don't care. I only saved you all out of curiosity, and I wanted to talk to humans. It's been a while. And he says, in this day and age, you only see live humans within a farm. And this is where they ask the most important question: what's going on in the world right now? And they initially are just like, what's happened in the past 30 years? Because everything that they know about the world, they kind of have figured out just from the few books and stuff like that they've had. So they assume something must have happened in the last 30 years to make the world the way it is right now. And the explanation they get is that no, nothing happened in the last 30 years. The world has been like this for a very, very long time. And this is where we get the very important chapter 47, the old tale. And this is the big world building chapter of this that kind of reveals one of the most important things so far in the story about what exactly is going on. Some immediate questions are answered, that you're not on a different planet. The year is actually still 2046. That's correct. But that before the world was sort of bigger, he says, back then farms didn't exist. In an extensive world, there were abundant humans that demons could hunt and eat. Demons were the predators, humans were the prey. There were humans who surrendered to the demons out of fear, and there were humans who detested the demons and instead hunted and killed them. Eventually, humans started killing more demons, more than the humans who were eaten. Endless killing, constant fear. When both sides got sick of the situation, the humans proposed a solution. Let's come to an agreement. Humans won't hunt demons and demons won't hunt humans. Let's segregate our world. And this is the promise, the agreement made between humans and demons that was exchanged between both of the worlds. And this is what split the world in two. And there's one side of the world that is a demon world, and there's one side of the world that is the human world, and there's no real interaction as such between them. And where they are right now, the farms and so on, they are in the demon side of the world. And the point that's being made here is that, like, this isn't the humans' world to begin with. Like, it was always like demons and humans' world, but it's been, like, obviously about 1,000 years, I think they say, roughly, that this was the case. Yeah, it's been about 1,000 years since the agreement, so but this is just the way the world is at this point in time. It is not some case where, like, demons kind of came in and just took things over. No, they were always part of the world. It's just now there is a specific part of the world that is basically just all demons. A very interesting kind of thing here is what they explain next. It's that, in addition, your ancestors were left behind as a gift to the demon world at the time of the promise. The demons won't hunt humans. To keep that promise, humans are managed and bred. This breeding system is the farm. And I find that very interesting because obviously it's this guy's perspective on what he knows about this agreement, in that there's almost this implication that, like, especially by the end, you're kind of like, okay, so this was back, he was realistically potentially around during this time. Because the issue here is that it seems like it was this relatively even agreement. Borderline, the humans kind of almost had the advantage in the agreement, in that they seemed to have the advantage in the past, in that it was specifically said that they were killing more demons than humans were being eaten. Yet they're the ones who also gifted the demons a certain amount of humans so that they could create this system where they could still eat humans, but it was just their own humans that they kind of bred themselves. So pretty kind of like brutal trade there. And you kind of ask the question then, did the humans get anything else from the demons in response for that? But that's obviously the big question, of course. And so it's an interesting one here, in that it initially seems like this sort of shocking reveal that has, like, broken everything that they want to do, in terms of, like, the ultimate goal is to go back and save the younger kids from the farm. Now it's this reveal that suddenly they'd be saving them from the house just to be in the half of the world that is the demon's world, and it's made everything worse. This is a worst case scenario, basically, but there is a ray of hope in all of this, and that is that Emma, always looking on the bright side of things, there is a separate world for humans, a world without demons, and that just add on to the plan that, okay, we get it, we go back, we get everyone, and then we cross over into the human world. But immediately, that's kind of, they can't really do that. Sanju reveals, it's hard to say, but you can't cross over to the human world. The path is completely blocked. That was part of the agreement, that there will be no coming and going between the worlds. And they just commit to the fact that they'll find a way to kind of make it through. They'll find a way into the human world and so on. So it's just this extra kind of challenge that's going to be there, that there's just more and more obstacles now being put in their way. It's not just a case of they're going to trek through some forests, maybe across a mountain, across a river, and they'll eventually get back to the human world. No, there's going to be an even deeper challenge kind of beyond that, and it sort of begs the question, where is the border between humans and demons, and what is there? Is it a giant wall that surrounds the entire planet, or what? What's the exact sort of geography of all of this? But anyway, the main thing in the aftermath of this is just kind of Emma and sort of Ray sort of compiling their thoughts on everything. That, okay, then if that's the case, what's all this William Minerva stuff about? So is he in the demon world or is he in the human world? And they're kind of like, so wait, was this just like a group of humans in the demon world? But they come to the conclusion that No, it probably means that William Minerva is in a position where he is a human who is able to go between the worlds. Because otherwise, where did the demons get human material to send into the farms to raise the humans in the way that they want them, especially the high grade ones? So it immediately presents the idea that there is a path there, as much as it's this known thing that it was part of the agreement that you're not allowed to go back and forth. Clearly the rules have been broken at some point along the way, and that it is a fact, it seems here, that humans are a pretty heavy part of that farm system, in that the demons need adult humans to teach those kids to be the best kind of kids that they can be. And we know that there are some higher ups, like, you know, I suppose grandma and stuff like that, and then, you know, I suppose other people running things as well. I think Crone mentioned that. Next big thing is, what do we have here? Okay, so they bring up the idea of, once again, they're heading for B06-32, and they hope that is the kind of next step in the plan. Emma also settles on the full kind of idea of what they're going to do. She says, "We'll go see Mr. Minerva and ask him how to cross between the two worlds, and we'll prepare and get everything ready within 2 years. Go back to get Phil and the others and go to the human world." So that's the overall plan that they have at this point in time. And, you know, they're all hopeful despite the kind of craziness of this reveal. Just before they're about to leave as well, we get this pretty nice scene, I think. It's a nice kind of character scene of Gilda going over to Emma and just being like, stop being so reckless. She gets really serious. Everyone's kind of frightened by Gilda being this serious. And, you know, of course you have Emma just being like, but she ultimately agrees basically with this. You also get some of the boys going over to, some of the other kids actually going over to Ray as well and being like, you also need to stop being reckless. You can't use yourself as bait again. So I like the rest of the group kind of getting their chance to sort of, you know, talk a little bit down to the hero characters of the group of like, you know, we're all in this together. You don't have to do it on your own. So stop being, you know, idiots basically in a lot of this stuff. And as they're on their way to kind of, you know, leaving in the situation that we have here basically is that the two demons here are going to guide them out of the forest and direct them how to get to B06-32. And you see them kind of reflecting on their time with the kids, you know, like, you know, they're good kids, you know, Sanju agrees. But then in the demon language, Mujika says, then why aren't you telling them the whole truth? Their trouble's coming up. If they want to break the promise, they'll make an enemy of him. Like, if you've watched the anime, I think the subtitles translated the name of this specific demon as him. Here it's given the weird sort of symbol kind of treatment. It seems to be more or less one of the absolute higher ups or the leader of demon society, who sort of represents completely the farm system way of the demons, and they're kind of worried about that. But Sanju also is like, you know, he's already their enemy. Like, he's not gonna, the humans aren't gonna make an enemy of this guy. He already is their enemy just by default. The next chapter goes into just before they're about to leave them. They want to teach the kids some more survival skills so that they can survive on their own. And they fairly quickly cut past a lot of this. They just teach a lot of the kids how to kind of cook on the go, kind of bow and arrow type training. Mujika teaches them kind of medical herbs and stuff like that. Just the common skills that are going to help them out of a lot of kind of common situations. Sanju goes out hunting, and Emma goes with him to learn specifically how to, you know, kill a living animal and how to like prepare it and stuff like that. So, it's definitely, I think, a fairly notable scene of her wanting to do this, and it's another case of her kind of going off on her own to do this, but it's her taking on this, in a way, responsibility she doesn't want any of the other kids to have to take on herself, that she is willing to kill animals to, make this happen, basically. And we see her here, she takes out this bird and his here, and his thoughts, how to do it. The reveal that happens here is that he also teaches her about the gupna, the vampiric plant called vida, that you pierce through the heart of your game. And that it says here, if the gods accept it, the flower will bloom. Then you can eat the meat. This is gupna. This is how demons traditionally slaughter meat. And it's this very emotional thing because for him, obviously, it's such a normal thing of just like, as part of their religion and just demon society in general, this is what they do with their food. But for Emma, the memory of this thing is seeing one of these in Connie, and that it reminds her that the demons eat humans, and so this plant that she's putting into this bird is something that is put in them when the demons kill them. But it's her sort of accepting to a certain level the kind of circle of life, and that like she prays for the animal that she just killed. She puts the gupna, the Vita plant in it, and she just comes to that conclusion. We don't want to be eaten, we want to live. But we've been eating others too, and if we don't continue to eat, we can't survive. So it's the idealistic Emma accepting sort of like some of the harsh realities of the world in a way, gaining a little bit more of an understanding about kind of, I suppose, demon society as well in all of this. So in that sense, I actually quite really like it as a scene. Just Emma learning how to kind of hunt. All of the kids are revealed to be fast learners. Sanju is impressed with everyone. And what happens next? Emma asks Sanju if he's heard about any other escapees, in that there are other farms out there. So have you heard of any other humans escaping, come across them along the way, anything like that? And this is again where we get some world building stuff and how the farm system works. He says, to begin with, there are different types of farms out there. There are only a few top class farms like Grace Field. Most are mass production farms. And this is another very kind of dark, brutal part of this kind of story, in that it's like the farm you come from, you are considered like kind of gourmet food. You're given a kind of high grade class and stuff like that for a reason, and you're looked after basically for most of it. But most of the demons who eat humans who come from these cheap mass production factories. And it's very, very dark with just the way they describe it here. Humans born there don't understand words. They have no names. They don't even have free will. They would never even think of escaping because I suppose they just don't understand the concept. They are just raised to be food here in all of this. And he says, by the way, there are several hundred mass production farms and only 4 top class farms. So there would only ever be escapees from, those 4, which means that there are only 3 farms where you could possibly have other escapees from. So it's an interesting one in that if you think about potentially a bigger goal, I suppose it would be trying to find some level of peace between humans and demons that involves maybe taking this system out of play in some way. But that seems like way down the line. As it is right now, it seems like they're more focused on, if anything, okay, save the kids from the farm we came from, but also do their best for the other 3. And then see what can be done about the mass production facilities, because the problem that they have there is that, like, in saving those kids, it's such a kind of crazy thing to think about. Of like, what do they do then if they save them? That they're these blank slate humans almost. He also mentions, on rare occasions that he hears about theft of demons stealing from the farms to eat humans, but they're rare cases. And basically just says there are no humans outside the farms that are highly intelligent kids like you, as far as I know, that is. Then we get, I actually think a really, really nice scene between Emma and Mujika, where she shows Mujika all the pictures that she has of basically what she calls her family, and it's all the other kids, mainly the kids who've been left behind, who she wants to go back for. And there's a lot of, Emma being very expressive here, Mujika laughing along with her, just getting across the idea that over the course of this time they spent together, all of the kids have become friends with kind of Mujika and Sanju. So just a nice scene to kind of, I suppose, humanize the demons in a way. It's probably not the correct word in this case, but see those demons as more than just kind of monsters that they've been presented as prior to the introduction of these characters. The mention of Norman comes up again, of just she is so driven to do all of this to make sure his loss wasn't for nothing. Emma says, I'm going to live with my family. To do that, I'll overcome even things that are impossible. And Mujika realizes that she gets it now. She wasn't strong to begin with. She had to become strong. And then another kind of very honest scene of just Emma saying to Mujika, you're not really like a demon at all. That was insensitive, sorry. It's just that you demons all come in different shapes and sizes. And Mujika, in her own language, and it's not really clear it's a weird one because she says it out loud, and Emma doesn't really give any sort of a reaction to it, but what she says is in her own language. It's true that our appearance has become warped in the last 1,000 years. So, and then with something that happens just a little bit later on, it's very interesting when to think about that. Okay, the way that the demon society has been, they have drastically changed what way they look like, and that's why there's such a, like, I suppose, difference in appearance between them. And they're almost suggesting the idea that Mujika and Sanju are more like demons were initially, in that they are very, very human-like. They just have that sort of kind of mask on their face, and their eyes are kind of positioned kind of differently, and they have kind of horn and elements and stuff like that. But very, very humanoid looking, I think, is the main thing. And she says to Emma, before meeting you, I'd never talked to humans or even seen humans before. You're not enemies or food. You're different from any other living thing. I'm glad I had a chance to talk to you. I'm glad we became friends. So, just very, very nice scene in all of this. As we move into, I suppose, the finale of this volume, which is the two-parter B06-32. And yeah, it's pretty much just the kind of goodbye scene. They lead them to the edge of the forest, and as they say their goodbyes, Mujika gives Emma an amulet that she says, I'm sure this will protect you, and then secretly says to Emma, search for the 7 walls. The future you all seek is beyond that. And then she later on will lie to Sanju about having not said this to them. So something secret that she knows about that Sanju didn't say. And we'll get into the thing about Sanju in a second here. But as they leave, we get a little bit of back and forth between Sanju and Mujika, of Sanju saying, you got pretty attached to them. At first you weren't interested. And we see a flashback to basically the two of them seeing the kids from much earlier on, basically, just prior to, I suppose, the decision being made by the two of them to step in and save Ray and the others. And Mujika initially says, I think they're humans, the escapees mentioned in the notification. If we turned them into the farm, we'd be able to live comfortably for at least 6 months. Sanju then says, I'm going to save them. We're not turning them into the farm. So the question comes up, why did you save those children? And this is a very interesting approach to this character, what they do here. Only humans can break the promise. The promise is troublesome. It distorted our faith, society, and our species' appearance. Perhaps they can destroy it, and maybe when that happens, we can finally hunt humans again. So that's what he wants above all else. He wants to get back to the way things were kind of before the promise, where there was hunting humans was allowed, in that he very much seems to go by these kind of original ways of the demons, where hunting was this very sort of sacred thing to them, and he basically is saying here that he used to eat humans a lot when he could hunt them. He said, it says it right here, do you want to eat humans? And he says, you've never eaten them, and you don't have the need to eat them. You can't understand. According to the doctrine of the original faith, it doesn't go against the gods to take the lives of their creations in the name of hunting. If they're natural, I'll eat them. And she says, but what if they can't break the promise? They might not even be able to cross to the human world. They said they were going to look for others like them. If they can breed in our world outside the farms, the next generation and on will be wild humans, natural. And if the naturals increase, eventually we'll be able to hunt them and eat them. Oh my. I can't wait for the day when I can eat as many humans as I want. As you see him sort of take on a little bit more of a kind of monstrous aspect as he thinks about this. So in all of this, it's revealed, I think, basically here, that he either was around during the time when the original faith was around, or has just followed it as long as he's been alive. But the idea is that he's eaten humans before, but has chosen not to eat humans in the way that current demon society eats them, which is raise them in the farms, the mass production farms or the special farms, and do it that way. No, he requires the hunting to, I suppose, in a way, justify it in his mind. But there's this sort of sadistic side to it, in that it's not just he wants to, I suppose, this sort of honor in a way of like hunting them to survive and like earning his meals. He seems to want to just hunt relentlessly and eat relentlessly, and that when I can eat as many humans as I want, it's a dark approach to have there, just a fairly nice character up to now, revealing this sort of very kind of interesting perspective in that, like, is it evil? In that there's a certain like understanding you can have about it, given clearly the way demon society was in the past, but then he is taking it to this sort of extreme. And then it also begs the question here, you've never eaten them and you don't have the need to eat them. So it suggests this thing about demons, that something changes within them when they do eat human flesh, or specifically a human brain. That's something that was stated earlier on in the volume, that human flesh, specifically the brains, is special to demons, and clearly in some way, potentially like the overeating of humans, or humans who aren't fully developed in some way, causes demons to change into a different form in some way. And then if they don't eat humans at all, they look a certain way as well. So the idea here seems to be that Mujika seems like the most human-like demon that we've seen so far. Sanju seems very similar, but then there's these kind of crazy, monstrous aspect to him, kind of suggesting that he has this kind of past where he ate a lot of humans. So this is where she lies about, like, she doesn't tell him what she gave and told to Emma, as Sanju goes to get rid of the nuisance, which is revealed to be the demon hunter guy who is after them. So she then reflects as he leaves. She says, unfortunately for you, Sanju, Emma understands clearly. The future they are all heading towards is different from what Sanju wishes for. Work hard and win that future. You guys can do it. That's right. There's more than one promise. The promise is, and you see Emma holding the amulet that was given to her and kind of gripping it tightly. So just, an interesting setup there of there's a meaning behind the 7 walls and that amulet and so on. So then we cut back to them finding B06-32. So when I check on the pen where it is, it's just the middle of nowhere. They're just on what seems to be just the top of a sort of plateau-like area, and there's nothing there. There's sort of a cliff edge, but the direct location, 32, nothing there at all. At the end of this chapter, the second last chapter, we see this is where Sanju takes out the demon hunter guy. It's pretty much just off-screen kind of death, in that when we cut to the next chapter, it's just, yeah, he took him out. And what happens here is that Ray figures out that, okay, the reason Norman and also us, we weren't able to figure out the next step of all of this, why the pen, we can't go into the next screen, is because we need to be in this specific location to get to the next kind of question to answer. So they activate it here, they go into the next page, enter the correct term from the book using the code from before, and what happens is that they get this thing that says welcome unlocked, and then suddenly it's revealed that there's a sort of a hatch in the ground. It's very Lost-like in a way. It's just this hatch opens up, they climb down, and it's clearly humans have been living here. And then the cliffhanger ending here is that they walk into one room and there's this adult there with lots of monitors and stuff like that who says, "Hey there, you must be tired after your long trip. Welcome to the B06-32 shelter." And so very interesting in that they wonder, like, immediately, is this William Minerva or not? What's going on here? So either way, they found some level of safety in that here is a hatch for humans. It is a shelter for this very reason. So very, very interesting stuff overall. I don't want to talk too much about the kind of cliffhanger ending there, just because there's a lot of cliffhanger kind of red herring type stuff in this series. But I think the best thing about this is just I really appreciated the depth and focus that they gave to world building and really getting across the sort of differences and also sort of similarities between demons and humans, and explaining that the world isn't too sort of temporarily having this sort of crisis of, it seems like our main character's quest is almost like over. It's almost in tatters here with this reveal, because what are they meant to do when they're in the demon world? They'd hoped that it was just that the demons ran factories, but it is a human world on the outside. Now they have to go that sort of extra step of they have to escape to the whole other side of the world, basically, just to make this happen. And so how do they go about doing that? The setup of, in doing so, they'd basically be breaking this promise. And as well as that, I suppose it in a way borderline vilifying some of the early humans with regards to, I suppose, the conflict at a base level is like on equal parts on both sides. And this whole situation with our main characters, and basically revealing that our main characters are descendant from people who were effectively sacrificed to the demons to appease them during this sort of promise treaty that was made, in that all of our characters are descended from like people who are just basically given away to the demons to be sacrificed. It's crazy to think about, in that clearly there's a lot more context to go into about the history and how all this happened, but it's very kind of thought-provoking how it is now, and especially the reveal about like the difference in demon kind of society from before versus now. And here's the two characters we meet here representing the old way, and then the new way of these mass production farms and stuff like that being criticized here to a degree. So very interesting overall. And of course you also probably have a, like, is the author trying to make some sort of a statement in terms of like real world stuff about like mass production of food, kind of borderline like animal cruelty, by effectively putting humans in the position that say chickens or something like that will be put into, in terms of chickens being used for food and stuff like that. Is that kind of something else that's kind of been used here to kind of make a statement, but in the context of the story, I think it works really, really well. So that's been Volume 6, B06-32 of The Promised Neverland, and we'll do Volume 7 next week. But yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this volume, as well as what I had to say about it. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.